Earth was dying. The sky had not been blue for 10 years. Everything was dust, ash, and broken buildings. The enemy called the Tharkai had been fighting humans for 17 long years. And they were winning. The Tharkai were not normal enemies. They were not machines. They were not living creatures either. They were something in between. Something born from science and madness. Something that could not be stopped. One by one, Earth's defense systems fell. Countries disappeared. Borders meant nothing anymore. All that remained were small groups of humans hiding in underground bunkers. They lived in darkness. They lived without hope. Deep beneath what used to be the Alps Mountains, there was Outpost Remnant 9. A young linguist named Alex worked there. He had not seen sunlight in 2 years. Half of his team was dead. The other half barely survived, breathing through tubes and machines. Alex tried to remember what hope felt like. He could not. Then one day, Commander Thorne called him to her office. The discovery. Commander Thorne's hands shook as she poured something that looked like coffee. Her eyes looked tired. Very tired. Like she had seen too much death. "Sit," she said quietly. Alex sat down. He waited. "We are pulling the plug," Thorne said. "One final option. You are going to help us call them." "Call who?" Alex asked. Thorne stared at an old computer terminal on the table. It was covered in rust and dust. "The Ancients," she whispered. Alex laughed. He thought she was joking. Nobody talked about that program anymore. Project Hollower. It was just a story. A myth. Something to scare new soldiers. "You mean the Sleepers?" Alex said. "They're not real. They were just prototypes. Forbidden technology. Even if they existed, nobody has seen them since the collapse." Thorne leaned forward. Her voice became very low. "They are buried under the ice. In New Siberia. A probe we lost decades ago just sent coordinates. 1 week ago. No explanation. Just a signal." She paused. "One of them woke up." Alex stared at her. He waited for the joke. It did not come. Thorne slid a file across the desk. Real paper. Not digital. Inside were strange images. Satellite scans. Ancient symbols. Heat maps. Glyphs that nobody had used since humans first traveled to space. Whatever was buried there was not sleeping anymore. "What do you want from me?" Alex asked. "You are the only surviving linguist with high enough clearance to read these symbols," Thorne said. "And your brain is still mostly intact." Mostly. Alex had lost many things in the war. Memories. Feelings. Even colors looked different now. But his language skills remained sharp. "You are going north," Thorne continued. "Taking a team. You will dig them out. Wake them up. And pray they are still on our side." She smiled. But it was not a happy smile. It was bitter and empty. "And if they are not on our side?" Alex asked. "Then at least the Tharkai will not be the ones to end us." The journey. 3 days later they launched in an old dropship. The ship was held together with tape and prayer. More tape than engineering. Alex's team was small. There was Nara, a quiet engineer with burned hands and haunted eyes. There was Knox, a weapons specialist who never blinked. And there was someone Alex did not recognize. Matt. Silent. Eyes like glass. His code name was Talon. No real names. Just code names. That was all they had left. The cold hit them like a curse when they landed. Ice stretched beyond the horizon. Unbroken. Untouched. No sound. No life. Just wind whispering secrets that nobody should hear. The vault. They found the site buried under 30 meters of frozen rock. The entrance was not natural. It was carved. Old stonework. Rooms glowing faintly with strange energy they could not explain. The deeper they went, the stranger it became. Then they saw it. The vault. A massive circular door. Taller than a skyscraper. Humming softly. Lights blinked on as they approached. Symbols rearranged themselves on the surface. He recognized them. Alex reached out without thinking. His fingers touched the cold surface. The door began to open. A voice echoed through the chamber. Not words. Not sound. It was inside their heads. Cold. Ancient. Very awake. "You have called upon us. Humanity returns to its broken roots." Alex's breath caught in his throat. The others stepped back. Behind the door, something moved in the darkness. Alex realized too late. They were not sleeping. They were waiting. The vault door groaned as it slowly opened. The sound was not mechanical. It sounded organic. Like some giant creature breathing for the first time in 1,000 years. Behind the door was darkness. But not normal darkness. This darkness had weight. It pressed against their minds before it touched their skin. Knox raised her rifle. Her hand shook. Talon stood still. He stared into the black like he knew what was coming. Something is alive in there, Nara whispered, looking at her wrist monitor. Something old. They stepped inside. The air became heavy. It tasted like metal. Every instinct screamed at Alex to run, to seal the vault and bury it again. But they had no choice. Earth had no choice. Lights bloomed on the walls around them. Ancient symbols pulsed to life. Alex understood them somehow. The knowledge just appeared in his mind. They called themselves the Hollow, Alex said softly. They emptied themselves of mortality, became something else. They made themselves into weapons, Talon whispered. In the center of the chamber floated a figure, tall, thin, inhuman yet strangely familiar. Its body was wrapped in armor that looked grown, not built. Glowing symbols crawled across its chest and limbs. It opened its eyes. They were not human eyes. They were stars burning, ancient, filled with memories of pain and endless war. The warden speaks. A voice filled the chamber. Not sound. Thought. You wake me in failure. You wake me in defeat. Have you no shame, broken children? Nox raised her gun. It's hostile. Don't. Alex shouted, grabbing her arm. The being's gaze turned to Nox. She froze mid-breath. Not dead. Just still. Like time paused only for her. I was forged for war eternal. Not mercy. You come crawling to the past when you have squandered the future. Alex stepped forward. His legs shook. We didn't come for forgiveness, he said aloud. We came because there is no one else left to fight. We came because humanity is dying again. The being tilted its head. You are not the first to say this. You will not be the last. We need your help, Alex said. Silence stretched for too long. Then something like amusement passed through its voice. Very well. Nox gasped and collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. Time resumed. I am the warden. To awaken the others, I need a vessel. One mind strong enough to carry the chain of command. The warden turned its gaze to Talon. Talon stepped forward willingly. No, Alex said. We don't even know what that means. It means I've known this day would come, Talon said calmly. He removed his helmet. His eyes were not fully human. Not anymore. I was born from the Hollow Project, Talon explained. A contingency. I wasn't just selected. I was bred for this. The warden placed a hand on Talon's head. Talon's body convulsed. Not in pain. Like a transmission had begun. Lights flickered across his skin, across his veins. When he opened his eyes again, they shone like stars. The warden's power. They left the vault with more than they came for. The warden walked among them now, hidden beneath systems they could not understand. As they flew back, the skies crackled with unnatural energy. The world was watching. Then it happened. Tharkai ships in orbit began to fall. Black streaks rained down from the sky. Something was slicing through them mid-flight. The warden moved through space with impossible precision. Humanity's enemy fell from the heavens like burning rain. Commander Thorne's voice came through the comm channel. What the hell did you wake up out there? Alex looked at Talon. Or what he had become. For the first time in years, Alex didn't feel helpless. He felt terrified. Because the war wasn't over. It was just beginning again. The second coordinates. The warden gave them new coordinates. 4 more locations. 4 more hollows buried across Earth. The second one was in northern Africa. The Sahara Desert. But it wasn't a desert anymore. It was a toxic wasteland. Acidic dunes. Black storms that tore flesh from bone. Nobody went there. Not even the Tharkai. She was meant to sleep, Talon said, his new voice strange and distant. But she's been dreaming. Dreaming of war. She. Nox asked. The red sigil, Talon replied. Tactical command. Rage made flesh. The dropship hummed as it flew low over the shifting sands. Heat shimmered around them. The sky was darker than it should be. Clouds moved like smoke. Fast. Full. Thick with static. In the distance, a structure jutted from the ground. Obsidian black. Smooth. Angled unnaturally. Like a knife stabbed into the earth. The broken vault. The structure wasn't just in the earth. It was growing from it. Black veins pulsed with energy, spreading into the sand like roots. They descended quickly. The hum became louder. Like machinery trying to wake from a 1,000-year sleep. The chamber was different than the last. Less clean. Less designed. It was angry. The structure had warped. Melted. Fused with the earth. Black vines coiled along the walls. Something had gone wrong here. In the center floated the second hollow. Unlike the warden, this one looked half-wild. Her armor was scorched, cracked, covered in burn marks. One arm was missing. Her faceplate was shattered on one side, revealing skin that shimmered like glass under firelight. Her presence hit them like a scream. Nara dropped to her knees, clutching her head. Nox staggered backward. Even Talon grimaced. "She is unchained," Talon muttered. Alex stepped forward. The light flared violently. Temperature spiked. He spoke the ancient words. They crawled up his throat unbidden. "We summon the flame that devours stars. Wake sigil. War calls." The red sigil awakens. The air exploded. Alex was thrown backward, slammed against a wall. Sparks flew from his suit. Everything went white. Then stillness. When his vision returned, she was standing. Her one good eye blazed with crimson light. Her missing arm had reformed. Not as flesh. As a weapon. A blade of fluid metal shaped by thought. The red sigil looked around. The hum turned into a scream. Talon stepped forward. "Sigil. Your command is re-established. War State Protocol Alpha 3. Do you acknowledge?" She tilted her head. For a moment, Alex thought she might kill Talon. Then she laughed. Not a human laugh. The sound like steel being torn apart. "You are small. But you carry the seed. So you are mine." She looked at Alex. "And you, little echo. You speak with a tongue that should be ash. Interesting." "We need your help," Alex said. "Earth is dying. Everything dies. But death can be useful. Show me a battlefield and I will paint it with the bones of your enemies." Destruction from above. Extraction was chaos. The moment she stepped out, the sands reacted. Storms rose. The air screamed. A Tharkai destroyer dropped from the sky. Massive. 6 kilometers long. Plasma cannons charged. It fired once. The red sigil caught the beam mid-air. Caught it. Twisted it like a ribbon. She hurled it back. The ship exploded. Not with fire. With reversal. Space bent inside out. Nara watched, shaking. "She's not a weapon," she whispered. "She's a catastrophe." 2 hollows awakened. And Earth still burned. New coordinates appeared on their screens. Deep underwater. Far below the ocean surface. The third one waited in the depths. 2 ancient ones had awakened. The Warden and the Red Sigil. Both were weapons beyond human understanding. Both had destroyed Tharkai ships like they were toys. But Earth still burned. The enemy still came. And now Alex's team had new coordinates. The third hollow waited beneath the ocean. In the deepest place on Earth. The Mariana Trench. Or what used to be the Mariana Trench. Now it was called the Mariana Wound. A massive crack in the ocean floor. So deep that even Tharkai scouts refused to explore it. Pressure down there could crush metal like paper. Drones that went down never came back. "Underwater deployment," Nox muttered. "That's suicide." "Not if she wakes," Talon said. His eyes still glowed faintly from the hollow seed inside him. "And if she doesn't, then Earth floods. We drown before the Tharkai finish us." Alex looked at him. Talon didn't blink anymore. He barely seemed human. "Suit up," Alex said. "We go at dawn." Descent into darkness. They launched before sunrise. The Pacific Ocean stretched below them. Black water. Angry clouds overhead. Lightning struck the surface every few seconds. Like the ocean was being punished by the sky. Their submarine was called Orca Zero. It looked like a bullet wrapped in armor. Built from scavenged alien technology and hollow materials gifted by the Warden. The engines didn't hum. They growled. Nox hated the ocean. She kept checking her air supply like it would fail at any moment. Nara barely spoke. Her eyes stayed glued to the pressure readings. Her lips moved like she was praying. Talon sat with his eyes closed. Hands folded. Communing with things they couldn't see. Alex just watched the dark water rise around them as they sank. They dropped fast. The moment the last light vanished from the viewport, the temperature inside dropped. Despite the heaters. The dark was not empty. It was watching. By the time they hit 30,000 feet, strange things began happening. Lights flickered. Static crawled over their helmets. The ship's hull groaned in protest. "Something's pulling us," Nara whispered. "What do you mean?" Alex asked. "We're not sinking. We're being drawn." Talon opened his eyes. "She knows we're coming." The forgotten creatures. Outside the viewport, bioluminescent shapes floated past. Not fish. Not even alien in the Tharkai sense. These were older. Forgotten creatures that glowed with impossible patterns. Like coded warnings written in the language of nightmares. They reached maximum crush depth. Any further and even the hollow-enhanced hull would fail. We can't go deeper, Nara said. We're running on borrowed time. Time is all we've ever borrowed, Alex muttered. Then the beacon flared. A light from the trench below. Not natural. Not artificial. It spoke. Not in words. In emotions. Longing. Grief. Rage. Alex felt tears on his face. He didn't know why. Talon touched the console. The ship responded to him. Like it recognized his authority. They slid downward again. Silent. Unshaking. Into the trench's mouth. The Cathedral of Bones. That's when they saw her. She floated above a platform of obsidian. A cathedral grown from the bones of the earth itself. Columns of stone and bone stretched upward, surrounding her in a cocoon of silence. Her body was huge, at least 20 feet tall, suspended in a bubble of glowing blue water. Her armor looked liquid, flowing even while still. Her face was serene. But beneath that serenity, something dangerous waited. She was beautiful, and she was grieving. The drowned queen, Talon said, standing. She's crying, Nara whispered. She's remembering, Talon replied. The water around her pulsed. Their instruments spiked. Wait, Nox said, hand on her weapon. Something's not right. Talon ignored her. He placed his hand on the hatch lever. You open that now and we're crushed like tin cans, Nara warned. Talon turned. His expression was empty. She's calling us. Entering the impossible. The door opened. Pressure should have torn them apart. But instead it welcomed them. Water rushed in. But it wasn't water. It was thicker. Slower. Like it had will. It flowed around them. Lifting them. Protecting them as they stepped into the cathedral trench. Their suits glowed faintly. Alex could breathe. Somehow this ancient hollow chamber existed in its own logic. A pocket of forgotten science wrapped in myth. They approached slowly. The drowned queen opened her eyes. Every light in the trench went out. Blackness consumed them. Not just around them. Inside them. Alex's thoughts bent sideways. Memories cracked. He felt like he was being unraveled thread by thread. Then clarity. The vision of betrayal. Alex stood before her alone. No ocean. No submarine. No war. Just her. A towering figure of grief and rage and endless silence. She didn't speak with words. She showed him. He saw Earth's oceans when they were clean. Blue and infinite. He saw fleets of hollow ships surfacing from them. He saw the queen herself rising from the waves. Commanding storms. Sinking entire enemy moons beneath tsunamis. She was Earth's protector once. And then they betrayed her. Humans. They sealed her down here. Not the Tharkai. Not aliens. Because she had grown too powerful. Because her grief made her unpredictable. Because her mind had begun to slip. Alex fell to his knees in the vision. He felt her pain. Her sorrow. Her hatred. Then the vision shattered. He was back in the trench. Knees still on the stone. Breathing hard. Talon stood before her now. Queen of the deep, he said, voice like thunder underwater. We call you back. Not as prisoner. As ally. She blinked. The sea listened. Do you remember how I was cast down? Do you remember your betrayal? We are not them, Alex said. But we carry their shame. She drifted downward. Her feet touched the platform. The water rippled in submission. I will rise. But not for you. Nox raised her weapon. Here we go. I rise for vengeance. The ocean's wrath. The platform cracked. A massive whirlpool erupted around the trench. They were yanked upward. Carried by a force that defied physics. The cathedral imploded behind them. Their suits were dragged through leagues of water in seconds. They didn't swim. They were summoned. When they breached the surface, the sky was no longer dark. It was blood red. The Tharkai had arrived. Thousands of ships blotted the atmosphere. They had begun bombardment. They landed hard on a mobile fortress floating off the coast of what used to be Japan. Soldiers stared up in horror as the skies fell. Then the sea rose. The drowned queen surfaced like a leviathan. Her armor rippled with fury. The water bent around her. Waves shaped into claws. She didn't scream. She sang. A song of ruin. Of revenge. And the sea obeyed. Monstrous tendrils of water lashed upward. Striking ships from the sky. Tharkai vessels twisted and collapsed into black vortices. The queen's wrath was a weapon beyond comprehension. For once the enemy hesitated. And then they fled. Not all. But many. They ran because something worse than them had woken. The price of awakening. Back at Remnant 9, chaos reigned. 3 hollows had risen. The Warden, the Red Sigil, the Drowned Queen. Earth was no longer prey. But the cost was rising. Each hollow changed the world around them. Nature bent. Gravity shifted. Earth itself was mutating under their influence. The Queen would not return underground. She remained in the ocean, circling the globe like a god. Part 4, The King Made of Fire and Ash. Opening recap and hook. 3 ancient ones had awakened. The Warden, silent and precise, destroying Tharkai ships with surgical strikes. The Red Sigil, rage incarnate, painting battlefields with enemy blood. The Drowned Queen, grief turned to vengeance, commanding the oceans themselves. Earth was no longer defenseless. But something was wrong. Each hollow changed the world around them. Nature bent. Gravity shifted. Reality itself was warping. The Queen refused to return to the deep. She circled the planet like a god protecting her temple. The Red Sigil had vanished into enemy territory, hunting alone. The Warden stood motionless, watching, waiting, saying nothing. And Talon was changing. His eyes glowed brighter. His skin shimmered. He barely slept, barely ate. "There are 2 more," he said one morning. His voice sounded like it came from somewhere far away. "2 more hollows?" Alex asked. Talon nodded slowly. "The 4th waits in hell itself. The Ashlands." The coordinates led to the Ashlands. Even before the Tharkai came, this part of Earth had given up. It stretched for thousands of miles, across what used to be Eastern Europe and Central Asia, a radioactive scar where nations once stood. Nobody claimed responsibility. Nobody cared anymore. The sky there never cleared. Clouds hung low, thick with dust and radiation, like the Earth had vomited up its regrets and refused to take them back. People called it the Soot Belt. And that's where the 4th hollow waited. "We have radiation levels in the red," Nara warned as their ship descended. "We stay out here too long, we don't come back." "How long is too long?" Knox asked. 15 minutes. They had no idea how long it would take to reach the hollow chamber. The ship didn't land. It crashed, skimming across a ruined factory complex. Half buried in black glass and ash, they stumbled out into hell. The air buzzed with energy. The ground hissed when they stepped on it. Above them, the sky burned a dull orange, like someone had smeared blood across the clouds. The throat of Earth. They walked through twisted metal. Old war machines fused together. Tanks melted with combat robots, like metal had tried to crawl away from its own death. Radiation ghosts blinked on their displays. Echoes of the past caught in digital loops. A child laughing. A man screaming. An explosion that never stopped repeating. After 12 minutes, they reached the crater. It wasn't a crater anymore. It was a throat. What? Circular. Jagged. Like the Earth had opened its mouth and howled. At the bottom, barely visible through ash and smoke, was a door. The hollow's mark glowed faintly above it. A circle inside a square. A warning. A signature. "Is that door open?" Nara asked. It was already ajar. Smoke curled from the edges. Heat shimmered upward. Knox pulled her rifle tight. "Something's been here before us. Or something never left," Alex said. They dropped in. The bunker of bones. The heat swallowed them whole. The bunker was alive. Not with movement. With memory. Its walls were scorched with handprints. Not painted. Burned in. As if people had tried to claw their way out when the bombs fell. Or worse. Tried to claw their way into whatever was inside. The walls pulsed with faint light. Firelight. But there was no flame. "This isn't metal," Nara said, running her scanner along the corridor. "It's carbonized bone. Fused with steel. This entire place is built from corpses," she whispered. Knox flinched. "Whose idea was that?" "Humans," Alex said quietly. "During the First Great War, they didn't just bury the hollow here. They sacrificed to it. They reached the central chamber with 2 minutes of radiation shielding left. And there he was. The 4th hollow. The Ash Tyrant. He sat on a throne of fused matter. Bones. Steel. Concrete. All melted together. Surrounded by ash that never settled. His armor was black-red, pulsing with veins of molten energy. His helmet was crowned with jagged points. Like a king forged in hellfire. One hand rested on the armrest. The other held a sword made of something that screamed when you looked at it too long. He wasn't asleep. He was waiting. "I don't like this one," Knox said, taking a step back. "He doesn't care," Alex replied. Talon's voice spoke. Not from his body, but through the chamber itself. "He is not bound by memory. He is not born of sorrow. He was made for conquest. And now he is bored. The ash tyrant tilted his head. Not slowly. Like a puppet reacting to a pulled string. His voice cut through the room like a blade. So the children of ash return. Not to kneel. Not to confess. But to ask. Again. The negotiation. Alex stepped forward. Swallowing the dryness in his throat. We need you. The tyrant stood slowly. The room shook. You always do. You always will. But need is not debt. What will you offer me this time, child of flesh? Nara whispered. He's bartering? Not bartering, Alex said. Testing. The ash tyrant pointed his blade at Alex. Speak. What price will you pay for my war? Alex didn't flinch. Your rage. Your fire. Your destruction. All of it can save us or end us. But you need something too, don't you? The tyrant tilted his head again. Clever echo. What is it I seek? Alex closed his eyes. He didn't know the answer. But something deep inside him. Maybe hollow residue. Maybe instinct. Whispered the truth. You want to burn again. The tyrant paused. Then laughed. The sound was like an inferno given a mouth. Yes. You finally understand. I was made to destroy. You buried me and I cooled. I have waited so long to ignite once more. He stepped forward. The heat intensified. Then give me your war, child. Let me see your skies burn. Let me see your enemies scream. I will light your world on fire again. And it will be glorious. Alex nodded. Deal. Demonstration. They left the chamber in silence. Behind them the ash tyrant followed. A walking apocalypse in slow stride. As they emerged from the crater, the air shimmered. A Tharkai dreadnought descended from the sky. Massive. Terrifying. They hadn't seen one that close in months. Its cannons charged. The ash tyrant didn't move. He looked at the ship. And it caught fire. Without fuel. Without oxygen. It burned in the sky like it had been cursed. Screams erupted across enemy communications. Not theirs. The Tharkai's. Then silence. The ship fell in 1,000 pieces. Each one burning brighter than the last. Nox stared in horror. This one's definitely not a good guy. Nara whispered, none of them are. The final coordinate. Back at Remnant 9, command fell apart. Too many hollows, too much power. Too much fear. Generals argued. Orders became whispers. Some wanted to put the hollows back to sleep. Others wanted to unleash them fully. Alex stood on the observation tower. Watching the sky. There was one more signal. One more hollow. Buried in space. On Earth's broken moon. Talon finally woke from his trance. He didn't speak. He just looked at Alex. And said one thing. It's time. Watching her shrine. 2 more coordinates remained. The 4th waited in fire and ash. The 5th waited on the broken moon. And with each awakening, the world became stranger. 4 ancient ones had awakened. The Warden. The Red Sigil. The Drowned Queen. The Ash Tyrant. Each one was a god of destruction. Each one changed the world just by existing. The Warden stood silent, watching energy patterns no scientist could understand. The Red Sigil had vanished into a Tharkai-held city. Alone. Hunting. The Drowned Queen circled the planet beneath the waves. Never sleeping. The Ash Tyrant burned in the mountains. Waiting for the next war. Earth was no longer prey. But humanity's leaders were terrified. These beings were too powerful. Nature bent around them. Gravity shifted. Reality itself was changing. And there was one more. The 5th coordinate pulsed on their screens. Not on Earth. On the broken moon. She's different, Talon said. His voice had become strange. Distant. Like he was speaking from far away. Different how? Alex asked. Talon's star-filled eyes looked up at the shattered moon in the sky. They didn't make her, he whispered. They found her. The forbidden truth. The moon hadn't belonged to Earth for decades. The Tharkai had split it open with a gravity weapon. Carved deep scars into its surface. Left entire colonies ruptured and dead. Now it just floated there. Broken. Bleeding dust. A graveyard of human ambition. And somewhere in that graveyard was the final hollow. The Warden refused to speak about her. The Red Sigil had gone silent the moment her name came up. Even the Drowned Queen, who remembered everything, said nothing. She wasn't made for war, Talon said as they prepared the orbital ship. She was found. In deep space. Inside an asteroid that wasn't an asteroid. What was it? Nara asked. A vessel. A prison. A tomb. They launched with no backup. No authorization. Command had tried to stop them after the Ash Tyrant destroyed 2 human command centers along with the Tharkai fleet. The Hollows were no longer tools. They were rewriting Earth's rules. The Warden stood at the hangar watching them leave. He didn't say goodbye, just raised one hand in an ancient salute. They left Earth behind in silence. The dead moon. The moon loomed larger than Alex remembered. They flew past debris, broken satellites, torn ships, bodies frozen in suits that would never breathe again. This place was a memorial, a warning. No energy spikes, Nara said, staring at her readings. No Tharkai patrols either. They're afraid of it, Talon said. Afraid of what? Nox muttered. It's just the moon. There's nothing left. Exactly, Talon replied. They landed near the breach. A jagged gash in the moon's crust that ran 20 kilometers long. Like a sword had split the surface open. The hollow signal pulsed from deep inside it. They crossed unstable ground. Past what remained of Lunar Station Theta. Now just a skeleton of melted steel and collapsed domes. No sign of life. No sign of death either. Just emptiness. As they descended, the hollow signal grew louder. Not in their ears. In their heads. It wasn't a voice. It was breathing. Alive. Slow. Patient. The sphere of black stone. The walls weren't walls anymore. They were grown. Fleshy. Fused with moon rock and hollow matter. Like something had been asleep so long, the land itself gave up trying to contain it. They reached the chamber. A sphere of smooth black stone. Embedded within the moon's crust like an egg. They stood at its edge. Looking down through a translucent shell of energy. She was inside. Not suspended. Not armored. Not anything like the others. She floated in a fetal position. Completely still. No armor. No mask. No weapons. Just a woman. Long black hair drifted around her like ink in water. Her eyes were closed. Her skin pale, smooth, unblemished. Too perfect. Talon knelt. His voice dropped to a whisper. She who remembers. That's not a title, Nara said. No, Talon replied. It's a threat. The first and the last. She was the first, Talon explained. Before the hollows were designed. Before the war. Before Earth even knew it was in danger. They found her in the deep black. Inside an asteroid. And they brought her here. Buried her. Forgot her. But she never forgot them. What is she? Alex asked. Talon looked up at the floating figure. The Warden is a soldier. Sigil is rage. The Queen is loss. The Tyrant is fire. He paused. And this one? Nox asked the question they all feared. She is memory, Talon said. The hollow shell around her cracked. One fracture. Then another. The moment it shattered, Alex's knees buckled. Visions of the end. Visions poured into his mind like a flood. He saw a time before humanity. Before Earth. Galaxies torn apart by something that moved through stars like water. Planets screaming. Civilizations begging the void for mercy. And then he saw her. Alone in the dark. Drifting. She had watched everything die. And she remembered all of it. Her eyes opened. Pure white. No pupils. No iris. Just light. The gravity in the chamber inverted. They were yanked toward the shell. Only their tether lines saved them. Nox screamed. Nara's nose bled instantly. Talon spoke words that didn't belong in any human language. Ancient. Impossible. Her head turned toward him. She smiled. It was the most terrifying thing Alex had ever seen. Standing in memory. Then everything stopped. No sound. No light. They weren't on the moon anymore. They stood in a memory. An endless field of dead stars. She stood in front of them. No longer floating. She wore no armor but needed none. Her presence alone was enough. You have come far, she said. Her voice echoed not with sound but with time itself. You have awakened the children. You have broken the seals. We had no choice, Alex said. There is always a choice, she whispered. And always a cost. Talon stepped forward. Will you fight with us? She studied him, tilting her head slightly. You carry the seed. And yet you are not hollow. Then what am I? Talon asked. A bridge, she said softly. A crack in the dam. Her gaze shifted to Alex. And you are the key. Alex's mouth went dry. To what? To the end. The terrible choice. The stars around them burned brighter. They snapped back into the chamber. Gasping. She was floating still. But now she faced them. Eyes open. A halo of light around her body, pulsing like a heartbeat. I will not fight your war, she said. I will end it. Knox grabbed Alex's arm. What does that mean? Talon closed his eyes. She's going to erase the Tharkai. Good, Knox said. No, Talon replied. Not kill. Not destroy. Erase. Like they never existed. But that's impossible, Nara whispered. She who remembers raised her hand. Space cracked above her palm. They stared into it. A wound in reality, showing time itself as threads. And she could cut them. I remember the day they were born, she said. I remember the mistake that let them live. Alex understood. You're going to kill them before they ever existed. She nodded. And in doing so, unravel everything they've touched. Every war. Every death. Every moment they influenced. Wait, Nara said. If they never existed, that means this war never happened. And the Hollows never needed to rise. We might not exist, Alex added. They all looked at each other in horror. Would we remember? Knox whispered. No, Alex said. She who remembers looked away. I am memory, not future. But I will do what must be done. She turned, drifting upward through the broken shell. They returned to Earth in silence. Her light followed them like a second sun. And the sky began to change. She who remembers had returned to Earth. The fifth and final hollow. The most powerful. The most dangerous. She floated above the planet now. Visible even during the day. A second moon made of light and shadow. Some people saw a woman. Some saw a child. Others saw a burning star in the shape of a human. Alex saw her for what she was. An ending wearing the skin of a savior. And already the world was changing. People below began to forget. The unraveling begins. First it was small things. Soldiers forgot where they were stationed. Scientists forgot passcodes. Children forgot their names. Then bigger things came. Wounds vanished. Old scars disappeared from skin. Graves became empty. Pictures dissolved. Whole cities woke up with no memory of the war. Because in the version of history now being written, the war never happened. She was already editing reality. Alex stood at the edge of Remnant 9's outer ring, watching the sky flicker. Clouds blinked in and out of place. The sun stuttered like a dying light bulb. Mountains shifted positions. Time is cracking, Nara said softly beside him. Her voice was tired. She's not just cutting the Tharkai out. She's cutting out everything they touched. Alex said nothing. There was nothing to say. Behind them, the warden stood like a statue. He hadn't moved in hours. The ash tyrant burned quietly in the mountains, holding still like a volcano waiting to erupt. The drowned queen circled the globe beneath the sea, her emotions pulling the tides out of rhythm. Even the red sigil had gone quiet. And Talon. Talon hadn't spoken since they returned from the moon. Finding Talon. Talon sat inside the hollow chamber below the command center, hooked to every data line they had. His heartbeat was syncing with the hollow grid. His DNA was mutating. His thoughts were no longer his own. Some said he was merging with the hollow code. Some said he was being replaced. Alex went down to find him. The chamber was cold. Not in temperature. In atmosphere. Like it had been emptied of all emotion. Like grief had come and gone and left the air hollow. Talon sat in the center, surrounded by pulsing threads of light. They fed into him through his spine, his skull, his chest. His eyes were open. White. Not glowing. Just white. Talon, Alex said. He didn't move. Alex stepped closer. Talon, it's happening. The unraveling. She started. Still nothing. Alex sat in front of him. Do you remember the girl from the trench? The one we pulled from the wreck near Station Kilo 2? Talon's lips twitched. She kept humming. Couldn't talk. But she hummed. You said it was the last song your mother taught you before she died. Talon's breathing changed. You cried when she hummed it again. You said if Earth ever burned, you would find a way to rebuild it. His eyes flickered. Talon, if she erases them, she erases you. All of this. We don't come back. We don't even exist. I know, Talon whispered. His lips barely moved. I never left. He blinked once. The lights shut off. The convergence. They emerged from the chamber together. The warden looked at Talon and stepped back. A gesture of respect. The drowned queen surfaced just for a moment, then vanished beneath the waves. The ash tyrant bowed his head. The red sigil laughed softly from a static-filled transmission. So the boy woke up. Wonder if it will matter. Then she who remembers spoke. Her voice echoed across the world. Every screen. Every speaker. Every thought. He is not enough. Talon looked up. Then tell me what is. You are seed, not root. You cannot grow what was never planted. Then plant it, Talon said. Tell me what you want. I want what was stolen. I want before. And if we give it to you? Alex asked. She was silent for a long time. Then I will choose. The gathering. The hollows gathered. All of them. Each one stood on a different continent. Connected by light. A global convergence. It wasn't humans who brought them. It was her. They were just witnesses. Alex watched from the command tower. Nox stood beside him. Arms crossed. Lips tight. This is it, huh? Nox said. Alex nodded. Nara adjusted her hollow feed. The hollow grid is sinking. Everything is pointing to one central node. Talon stepped forward. She's going to rewrite the timeline. Not just delete the Tharkai. But choose a different thread. One where none of this happened. And us? Alex asked. Maybe we're part of it. Maybe we're not. She hasn't decided. Then we still have time to convince her, Alex said. Talon looked at him. Pain in his face. No. We have time to let go. The anchor. Talon walked to the center of the convergence point. The hollow grid shining around him. The sky above rippled with light and memory. She descended. Not like a god. Like a story ending. She touched the ground barefoot. Human-shaped. Eyes full of centuries. For the first time she looked uncertain. You are ready, she said. Talon nodded. I am. You know the price? I do. Alex stepped forward. What price? She turned to him. If I rewrite the thread, I must leave something behind. To carry the memory. To hold the echo. Or the fabric of reality will tear again. You need an anchor, Alex said. She nodded. Talon took one step forward. I will be the anchor. No, Alex whispered. You will die, she who remembers said. Worse. He will remember when no one else does. Talon smiled. A sad, beautiful smile. I've carried worse. The transformation. The hollows began to fade. Their energy flowing into the sky. The drowned queen dissolved into mist. The ash tyrant turned to ash and scattered on the wind. The red sigil winked at Alex through a screen, then vanished in static. The warden gave one last nod. And was gone. Talon knelt before she who remembers. I'm ready, he said. She placed her hand on his head. You will not be alone, she whispered. I leave a piece of you in another. So the story survives. Then the light exploded. White. Blinding. Pure. Alex felt himself being unmade. His memories scattered like leaves in wind. His body dissolved. His existence erased. And then, darkness. Awakening. Alex woke in a room he didn't recognize. Clean. White. Windows showing a peaceful earth. Blue sky. Birds singing. No ash. No war. He stood slowly. Heart pounding. The war was gone. The Tharkai were gone. The hollows were gone. Just peace. He walked into the hallway. Nara passed him. She smiled. Didn't know him. Nox walked by, joking with a technician. She didn't recognize him either. None of it had happened. Except, Alex looked in a mirror. And saw him. Talon. Not beside him. Inside him. And he remembered. Because he was the second anchor. The world was clean. But only Alex knew the truth. Only Alex carried the memory. The war that never was. The gods that never woke. The sacrifice that saved everything. The world smelled of grass. Of fresh rain. Of cities untouched by war. It sounded like laughter in playgrounds. Quiet conversations on park benches. The rhythmic sound of trains moving on time. The skies were soft blue. Dotted with white clouds that drifted peacefully. No one remembered the war. Not the Tharkai. Not the hollows. Not the ash-choked cities or blood-drenched trenches. Not the broken moon or the burning seas. It was like it never happened. Because in this version of history it hadn't. But Alex remembered everything. At first he thought it was a dream. Some kind of trauma. Maybe a simulation bleeding through from another life. But he couldn't ignore the signs. The scar across his chest that had never been inflicted in this world. Fragments of hollow script on his data pad that shouldn't exist. And the voice. Talon's voice. Always soft. Always in the back of his mind. Like a whisper caught between static. You were the last thread. The piece I couldn't cut. The echo she left intact. Meeting her again. Alex found her standing at the edge of a lake. Throwing pebbles into the water. She was a child this time. Barefoot. Smiling. Same eyes. Same stillness. She who remembers. Alex walked slowly. Every step felt like betrayal. She turned before he even spoke. You remember? She said simply. Yes. She tossed another pebble. It skipped across the water 3 times. It's strange, isn't it? To be the only one who knows the song while the world hums a different tune. You made the right call, Alex said. You saved them. I didn't save them, she replied. They were already gone. I saved the idea of them. A world without teeth. She looked up at him. But not you. You're still sharp. Talon chose to remember, Alex said. Why am I still here? Because he left a part of himself in you. A memory. A tether. A kindness. She crouched down. Ran her hand through the lake water. But even kindness has a cost. The cracks begin. Alex began to see them slowly. Cracks in the perfect world. Reflections that didn't match. People with faces he remembered dying. Places that had been war zones now spotless and wrong. Shadows of buildings that never should have been there. The hollows weren't in this world. Not physically. But they echoed. The warden in the sudden silence before a storm. The drowned queen in the deep tremble of waves that struck too hard for physics to explain. The ash tyrant in flickers of fire that never left soot. And the red sigil. She laughed through static on broken radios and cracked mirrors. They were remnants. Not a form. But a presence. And they were growing stronger. Alex confronted she who remembers again. At the edge of a ruined cathedral. Except it wasn't ruined anymore. It had never been bombed. And yet Alex saw the blood that never stained the steps. Heard the gunfire that never echoed through its halls. She stood at the altar. Fingers brushing a candle's flame. You can't hold it together forever, Alex said. She didn't turn. I never planned to. Then why? She turned slowly. Because they asked me to. Talon. All of you. You said you wanted peace. So I gave it. At the cost of reality, Alex said. At the cost of truth. She nodded. The dream. That night, Alex dreamed of Talon. But this time Talon wasn't whole. He stood in a black room. A windowless void with only dust and data for company. His face was older. His eyes no longer shone with hollow light. Just exhaustion. I'm breaking, Talon said. You're the anchor, Alex replied. Anchors don't break. Anchors rust. Alex reached out. Couldn't touch him. What do I do? Decide, Talon said. You remember? So you decide. The choice. Alex woke in a world that no longer wanted him. He looked at strangers with names he used to know. Past buildings he watched burn. Heard laughter in streets that had once run red. Reality was beginning to fray. The choice came quietly. No explosions. No visions. Just a door in a house that hadn't been there the day before. Alex walked in. She sat at a table. Still a child. Legs swinging. A cup of tea untouched. She smiled. It's time, isn't it? Yes. Will you end it? She asked. Undo the dream? I don't know. She leaned back. If you erase the rewrite, the Tharkai return. The war begins again. Humanity dies slowly. The hollows rise once more. You've seen it. You lived it. And if I let this continue? The dream collapses. The echoes eat through reality. Time buckles. Physics fails. We all fade. Alex sat down across from her. What about a third option? Her eyes sparkled. Now you're thinking like a hollow. The storyteller. The third option was simple. Not erasing the war. Not preserving the false dream. But binding the memory. Creating a shell around the truth. Locking it inside the minds of a chosen few. Letting the world remain in peace. But giving the hollows their due. Their story. Their sacrifice. Their war. A memory preserved. Not in time. But in tale. In legend. Alex would become the first storyteller. He would tell the truth again and again. Even if no one believed him. Even if it felt like fiction. Because memory is the one enemy time can never conquer. The beginning of the end. And so Alex began. He told them of the warden. The silent guardian who woke with purpose and fury. Of the red sigil. The blade in the storm. All fire and laughter and blood. Of the drowned queen. Whose tears could flood armies. Of the ash tyrant. The king of fire who demanded nothing but war. Of she who remembers. The first and the last. Who carried the weight of every star that ever died. And of Talon. The one who carried the seed and chose to remember so the rest could forget. Alex told them in secret rooms. To children who couldn't sleep. To soldiers who felt ghosts in their dreams. To historians who looked at clean archives and felt the lies underneath. Sometimes they called him mad. Sometimes they cried. Sometimes they remembered. Just for a moment. before the dream smoothed over the cracks. But it was enough, because memory spreads. And one day someone else will pick up the thread. And they will tell the story again. The final truth. This was never about winning the war. It was about not forgetting we fought it. Because the moment we forget, the darkness returns. The enemies rise. And we call upon the ancient ones once more. Alex stood on a hill overlooking the peaceful city. The sun was setting, golden and warm. And in his mind, Talon's voice whispered one last time. Thank you for remembering us. Alex smiled. Always. Because some wars are never truly over. Some sacrifices are never truly forgotten. And some stories must be told. Again. And again. And again. Forever.